Do you trade using Uni-Renko reversal charts? If so, then this tool is going to help make entering and managing your trades so much easier. What's up everyone? I'm Dre, and this video is one that I'm excited for. I've been getting a ton of requests to update the free reversal strategy. Now, this strategy was one that was designed specifically to use with Uni-Renko style charts, and I know every trader is different. So I wanted to create something that will allow every user to customize how their trades are entered and managed. And now the new reversal predator is finally here. This strategy is mainly used for semi-auto trading, which means you should still keep an eye on it and enable it only when you see a trade you want to enter and manage. However, you can go fully automatic if you choose to do so. Now, this isn't a buy my strategy, it'll make you $1 million. This tool is just to help facilitate and execute your own parameters. You are still responsible for your own trades. I will never claim this tool or any single strategy will ever make you money. Quite frankly, I don't trust 99% of the stuff out there. So make sure you use this at your own risk. As always, we're going to break down every feature and every parameter so we can understand how this tool works and how it can help your trading. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's just jump into it. Alright, and to kick things off, I'm first going to show how to load the strategy. So you want to go to your chart, right click, go to strategies, and then you're going to find the TradeSaber Predator folder now, and just select the reversal predator. And this is a big file, it's going to take a minute to load. This is what you're going to come up with, and we're going to go through all of these parameters in just a minute. I just want to show how it works with the buttons first. So just hit apply. Okay. You're going to want to come down to your control panel and make sure you select the strategies tab, and you should see the reversal predator come up here, and you're going to go down to the enabled box here and check mark that. Alright, and once we have it loaded, this is what we come up with. And one of the first things you'll notice is that you'll no longer have to load up the indicator and the strategy separately. They are now combined into one, so it's a little bit easier to load. For this example, I'll be using NinjaTrader charts. I love them. It's what I use in my own trading. I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever. I just think they're great. But you can use this strategy with any sort of Renko or Uni-Renko chart, or really any price-based rather than time-based chart should work. But just know it was designed with NinjaTrader or Uni-Renko charts in mind. Okay, so now let's go through the buttons and their functions and how you can use them for your own trading. So first, you have an on and off switch. And what this does is if you're just sitting idle watching charts and don't want to enter any trades, just toggle this off and it's going to skip all the possible trades. So I'm going to hit play here and we'll toggle this back on. Next, you have your long and your short, and these do the exact same thing except just for the long or the short. If you only want to enter long trades, you can just have the long selected and the short disabled, and it's going to only enter long trades. Let's find this. If you just select shorts, it's only going to enter the short trades, skip all the long trades. Okay, so let's enable both of these, and we're going to select our reversal button up here. Let's get out of this. And what this does is if a reversal appears that's in the opposite direction and you haven't reached your profit or your stop, it's going to reverse your position in the opposite way. So again, I'm going to hit play with long and short enabled. And here we have a long, then we have a short, and now it's going to just keep going back and forth and keep entering in the opposite direction. I think I hit my max count for the day. That's another parameter we're going to go through later. So I'm just going to disable and enable. And when we have this reversal off and it detects a trade, it's going to wait until it hits a profit or a stop to enter again. Next up are your add buttons. And with these, you're able to attach an additional order to any one of your initial entries. I'll go into a little more detail once we get into the parameters, but for now, let's hit play. And here we're in a short position, and if you hit add, it's just going to add an extra order, and you can customize the position size that you want to add and the order it is attached to. And if you want to exit just that specific add, you can just click the button again and it will exit that position. And then the next button is the flatten all button. This one's pretty straightforward. It just cancels every order, exits out of your current position. Because this is a strategy, we cannot use these stock NinjaTrader buttons. We have to stay within the strategy, or else it comes out of sync and it can cause all sorts of issues. Most likely, it will just disable the strategy. So again, always make sure to use these buttons. Next up, you have your quick long and your quick short. And what these do is, let's say you came in late and you see a trade that you just missed, or maybe something else is setting up that's not quite a reversal, but you want to enter the trade and have it managed with the strategy anyways. You can just simply click in the direction you want. So we'll click quick short, and it's going to enter you right away, regardless if it's a reversal setup or not. So again, I'm just going to hit play. We can flatten all, quick long. It's just going to set up in the long position. And now for the remaining buttons down here, these are going to be more management buttons, and I'm going to go through them once we start going through the parameters. It'll make a little bit more sense then. So for now, let's close this up, disable, and head to our parameters. Okay, so now that we're in the parameters, our first option is going to be the reversal selector. And now you have two different options to define the reversal pattern. The first one now is a simple reversal, which is literally just going from red to green. And this candle is going to be your reversal, or green to red. And then this candle is going to be the reversal. Next up is the wick reversal. So if you've used the previous reversal indicator or the strategy, this is the exact same thing. I just removed the price and the percentage to make it a little bit easier. I know there's a little bit of confusion with that. So now it's just using a tick offset, and that's how many ticks below the previous candle or how many ticks above the previous candle it has to go in order to be considered a reversal. So for example, it's going to have a 1 tick offset as default. So just to see how that looks, it just colors the same things pretty much. But if we disable this, and if we look at these two candles right here, the reversal candle only goes 1 tick above the previous candle. Let's go into the strategies, and we'll change this to a value of 2. So what I'm saying is your reversal candle needs to be at least 2 ticks above the previous candle in order to color in. And because this is only 1 tick above, it should remain off. Okay, let's disable this, go back into the parameters. Next up is if you want to color any of the candles or just leave them as is, and you can select whatever colors you want. Okay, next up are your entry conditions. So you can activate your longs or your shorts. These are the same buttons that come up in the chart trader. It doesn't matter if you set them here or on the chart trader. That's completely up to you. Next up are your confirmation candles. And this is just how many candles need to appear in the same direction after your reversal in order for you to enter a trade. So you can select anywhere between 0 to 3 confirmation candles. When you select 0, that first candle after your reversal has to break under the low, or if you're going long, above the high. Now, if you select a value of 1, once this first candle closes, that is your first confirmation candle, and it's going to submit a market order once this candle opens. A value of 2, it needs 1 confirmation candle, 2 confirmation candles, and then once this third candle opens, it's going to submit a market order. When you select a value of 3, same thing, you need 1, 2, 3 candles to close, and then it submits a market order down here. I know that sometimes when trading with just the break of the reversal candle, it's very easy to get chewed out if it's trading within a certain range. So this just adds a little bit extra confirmation. The next option is the tick offset entry. And this is just how many ticks below or above the candle has to break when you're using a confirmation of 0. So an offset of 1, it needs to break 1 tick below the reversal candle. Then you have your reverse position. That's the same thing. It's a chart trader option. You can toggle that on or off. Okay, so now let's talk about the historical trades. When you select this, it will show all the previous historical trades the system would have taken. This is good if you're planning on running fully auto and you want to take into account all the previous trades, or if you simply want to backtest your setup. One thing I want to mention is that historical trades should never be taken as fact because they will always show the perfect entries, and that never translates to real life trading. For example, if we take this candle right here, the actual entry once this bar closes would more likely be somewhere up here. And when you're in historical, it's always just going to plot your entry right at the perfect open. But we know with price-based charts, it's most likely actually going to open somewhere up here. Now, with 1 or 2 trades, it might not seem like a big deal. But if you're backtesting a year's worth, so maybe a couple hundred, maybe even thousands of trades, it's going to be a pretty significant difference. So take these historical trades with a grain of salt. They should only really be used more or less as a guide to whether or not you should continue to backtest your strategy. So it's almost better to use on a playback, or even better, forward testing on a sim. So with that being said, let's move on to the next section. Okay, so next up are your indicators. And now this list is pretty small for now. I will be adding a lot more as people start requesting them. For now, I just added the moving averages and a couple channels. So let's start with the moving average. So you can just enable first the fast moving average. And from here, you can select any sort of moving average you want, your EMA, SMA, HMA, whatever you want. So we'll leave it at EMA for now. So let's hit apply, enable. How the fast moving average works is it's only going to take long entries when your bullish reversal is above your fast EMA or whatever moving average you select. And it's only going to take shorts when your reversal is below the moving average. For example, over here, because the reversal was under the moving average, it unfortunately did not catch this big move up. And if we look over here, because the reversal to the short side was above the moving average, it did not catch this move down. Let's go back into the parameters. Once you enable the fast moving average, you can also enable a slow moving average. And this is the same thing. You can configure it however you want. And let's enable this. So how this works is it will only take long entries when the fast moving average is above the slow moving average and the reversal is above the fast moving average. And for shorts, it's the opposite. When the fast moving average is below your slow moving average and the reversal is also below the fast moving average. So it's just adding an extra layer of, I guess, security to your trade. So this is not for everybody. You don't have to use them if you don't want. This was a requested feature. But if you do trade using moving averages and it's different than what you see here, let me know in the comments, let me know on the Discord, and I'll see what I can do in regards to updates to how this works. All right, so moving on. Now we have our channels. And again, for now, I've only added the Keltner and the Bollinger. And both of these work very similar to each other, where it's just going to trade the bounce from one channel to another. So I'm just going to enable the Keltner channel. And for this, it's only going to take short trades when the bearish reversal is above the channel, or it's only going to take long trades when the bullish reversal is below the channel. So here you can see it's not going to color in these bullish reversals, so it completely skips those. So basically you're just trading from one extreme price range to the next. And to save time, I'm not going to show the Bollinger. It works the exact same way. Okay, so now we're into the fun part. Now is when we get to set our orders. For these, I tried to give as much customization as possible while trying to keep it user friendly. I'll be adding a lot more stuff, as I'm sure I'm going to get a lot more requests. But for now, let's go through the options available. So your first option is your position size for that particular order. So for order 1, we're just going to keep our position size at 1. Next is where your profit is set. And here you have different options. You can select whether your profit is set based on ticks, whether it's set based on your risk to reward, so your R's, or if you want to set it at the end of a channel, so your Keltner or Bollinger. These will also activate the channels themselves, so you can only use these if you enter using either of these channels. So let's go through a few examples. We'll leave this at a tick profit of 25 ticks, and we're going to go to the order number 2 just to show how each separate order is handled. So for order 2, we're going to have a position size of 2, and let's set this at the R's. We'll set that at 2 R's. So from your entry to your stop, and 2 of those risk units. And for order number 3, we can set this one at a position size of 3, and we'll set this at the opposite end of the Keltner channel. When you're using the channels as your profit target, you can select an offset. So whether you want to go above the channel or below the channel, or you can select the look back period. Let's say you don't want the most current Keltner channel price, you want the one previous, you will select a value of 1. So we'll run this and we'll see how that works. Okay, so let's go back to our order number 1 and select our stop. So again, you have a few different options here. You can set your stop based on the ticks from your entry price. So let's leave that at 30 ticks. For order number 2, we're going to use the candle stop. And what this does is it's going to set your stop at either the high or the low of the reversal candle. And then you have an offset as well, and you can offset from either that high or that low. So for order number 3, let's show the difference between a 0 offset and let's say a offset of 3 ticks. Okay, so we'll go back to our break evens and trail stops in just a minute. Okay, so let's enable it. We'll hit play and see how it plays out.
Order filled.
Okay, so we have our orders. So let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so first let's look at order number 1. So we had our entry at 4143, our stop at 4135.5. So that's 7.5. That is 30 ticks. So our stop is set. And then our profit at 4149.25. That is a profit target of the 25 ticks selected. Next up, you have your entry number 2. In this one, we set our stop using the candle stop option. So here we have our reversal, and it sets it right at the bottom of that candle. And for our profit target, we set a profit of 2R. So if we take this up here to our entry, it gives us 2Rs. Here it's kind of sitting in the middle because it separated our order and it's just taking the average between 4143 and 4143.25. So it's just kind of setting our limit to give us a perfect risk to reward. And for order number 3, we again use the candle stop option, but with an offset of 3 ticks. So here you can see it is 3 ticks under the low of the candle. And we used our profit target for the Keltner channel, but we used a look back period of 1. So it's looking at this Keltner channel period right here. And if we hit play, it's just going to follow that Keltner channel until it hits its profit target.
Order canceled. Order canceled.
And that's how you set up the reversal pattern orders. Now let's close this off and add our break evens and our trail stops. And to make things just a little bit easier on the visual side of things, let's disable these other 2 orders, and we'll do just one order at a time. So let's go to our break even, and here you have 4 different options on when your break even gets triggered. So option number 1 is a tick distance, and what the trigger distance does is once you reach this number of ticks into profit, then it's going to move your stop up to the break even. So once it hits 12 ticks, we can move our stop to our break even. And the offset is how many ticks either into profit or away from profit you want to go. So positive number, you're going into profit, negative number, away from profit. So let's leave that at 0 for now. Next, you have your trail stop selector. And for now, we only have 3 different options for your trail stops. I'm sure as people start requesting more things, I'll be adding even more. But for now, this is what we have. So option number 1 is the high-low. And what this does is it's going to trail each previous candle's high or low, depending if you're long or short. The offset is how many ticks away from that high or low you want to go. The period is how many candles away from the current candle you want to trail. So for example, a trail of 1 is going to trail the previous candle to the current. So 1 candle back. A period of 2, it's going to set your stop at 2 candles back from the most current candle. And the trigger distance is how much into profit you need to be in order for your trail stop to get triggered. So a tick distance of 20. Once you hit 20 ticks into profit, then it's going to trigger your trail stop. So let's hit apply, enable, and let's see this in action.
Order filled.
Okay, so we have our entry. Now we're just waiting to hit 12 ticks into profit. Okay, right there. Okay, so I moved a little quick. So we first moved to our break even once it hit 12 ticks. Now we're at 20. And because we selected a period of 2, it's trailing 2 candles back from the most current. And here it's just going to keep trailing anytime a new candle opens. And that's how that option works. Let's go through the other break even and trail stop options. Okay, so let's run through a few more break even and trail stop examples. So let's select the break even R's. And what this is saying is once our profit reaches the 1 R target, so 1 risk to reward unit, then it's going to set our stop to break even. So let's actually do a +2 offset. And for our trail, let's do ATR. With ATR, again, you can offset it from where that stop would be set at. You also have the option to show the ATR if you want a separate panel displaying it. If you just want clean charts, just keep that off. It's still going to work the same. Here you can select the ATR period you're looking at and the multiplier it's going to use to set your stop at. So for example, whatever ATR number comes up with a period of 14, it's going to multiply that by 1.5, and that's where it's going to set your stop. And again, you can select when you want this ATR trail stop triggered. So let's do an R. We'll do at 1.5, then we'll start trailing. And hit apply. Okay, so let's hit play. Okay, so we are entered, and just for a visual, I'm going to draw this up here. So once the price reaches around here, it should set our break even plus an offset of 2 ticks. So right there, it reached the 1R target, and it set our break even plus 2 ticks. Next, when it hits around here, you're going to see it start to trail our stop. And there you go. It kind of moved a little fast, but I think we all got the visual. Is just trailing with the ATR. And that's basically how the ATR trail works. Okay, and for our final example, let's move our break even to the Keltner channel. So this means that once our profit target hits the Keltner channel, it's going to move our stop to the break even. And you have a few options here to configure this. You have the Keltner trigger offset, which just basically offsets from the Keltner channel how many ticks either above or below you want the price to be in order for it to get triggered. So an offset of 0 is going to be as soon as the price touches the channel. So an offset of -2 would be 2 ticks before the Keltner channel. Offset of +2 ticks would be it triggers once the price reaches 2 ticks above the channel. For this example, let's just leave it at 0. Then you also have the channel look back, and this is what period it's looking at. So whether you're looking at the channel on the current candle, which would need a value of 0, or if you want to look at what the Keltner channel was one period before, you would select it at 1. And again, you have the option to offset the actual break even once it gets triggered. So this time, let's do a -2 and see where it lands. And for your final trail stop method, you have the parabolic SAR. And again, you have the option to offset from where your stop would be set at each trail from the parabolic SAR. I'll leave that at 0. And I do want to show the indicator itself. Here you can select how your parabolic SAR is defined and the period you're looking at. So again, a period of 0 is the most current price. Period of 1 would be the previous to the current. And our trigger distance, because we are already triggering our break even at Keltner, let's just leave it again at 1.5. That's fine. Let's hit apply, enable, and here now you can see our parabolic SAR is printed on the chart. Let's hit play.
Order filled.
And once price reaches our Keltner channel, you should see our stop move up to the break even -2 ticks. So right there, it hit our Keltner channel, break even -2 ticks. And once the price reaches around this area, it's going to move our stop with the parabolic SAR only if the parabolic SAR is above our current stop price. So it needs to reach up above here. Okay. So here, once the parabolics are reached above, it's just going to trail. And because we have a period of 1, it's not trailing the most current, it's trailing the one before. And just see it trail each new candle until it gets stopped. And that's how the parabolic SAR trail stop works. Okay, so now we're moving on to our add button options. And all these do is they set another order and they're attached to whichever of the 3 orders you select. So we'll enable our other 2 orders as well. And we'll select the first add button, we'll attach that to order number 1. Our add button 2, we'll attach it to order number 2. And we'll do a position size of 2. So this is going to add 2 extra to order number 2. So this is going to create another order with a position size of 2, and it's going to follow the exact same stop and profit as order number 2. So we'll see how it works, and it'll all make sense in a bit. Button 3, we'll do order 3 and position size of 3. And add button 4, we'll do 5 whatever and attach it to order number 1. Okay, so let's hit play and see our orders.
Order filled.
Okay, so from here, if we select add 1,
Order filled.
it's going to set another order for the position size you selected, and it's going to attach it to the order number 1. If we select that too,
Order filled.
now it adds another position size to order number 2, and it's just going to attach it to that same order. Add 3
Filled.
to order number 3, and same thing. At 4, we attached it to order number 1, and it just attaches that same order. Now, if you want to exit just that add option, so you don't want to exit your full position, you just want to exit whatever you added on, these buttons now convert, and you can just click them again,
Cancel.
and it's going to exit that same position. Now, the next thing I want to touch on are the buttons down here. These get activated whenever you have that option selected. And these are just another way to manually manage your trade. So you have the ability to enter up to 3 different trades at the exact same time, but they're all managed separately. So the first option is the close button, and these will just close that specific order. So if you want to just close order 1, 2, or 3, you can do that. So let's say order 2. It's just going to close out that order. Next is your break even, and let's hit play. Once you're into profit, if you select break even, it will move your stop up to that break even right away before it even hits your trigger. So if you run into a scenario where you just want to move your stop to break even right away, you can just select the button and it's good to go. So it works similar to the break even. Once you're in profit and you haven't quite reached your trail stop trigger, but you want to start trailing anyways, you can just select that and it's going to trail your stop. And if you want to stop trailing, you can just unselect it and it will stop trailing. So pretty straightforward. Now back to the rest of the video. Okay, and the last thing I want to touch on are the order limits. And these are just going to help manage your trading day. So first you have the trade start time and the end time. And this is just when you want your strategy to start working and when you want it to stop working. So by default, it's going to be 7:30 till 4:45 p.m. This is based on Eastern time. If your time zone is different, make sure you change these to whatever fits your needs. Next, you have a daily profit and daily loss limit. And these are based on realized profit and realized loss only. This is not a kill switch. So it's only going to be after you close off your trade. And if it's above this number or below this number, only then will it stop trading. So again, by default, it's set at 1500 profit, 1500 loss. Next is your max trade count. And this is going to stop trading after you hit this number of trades. So let's say we set this to 5. After you close off your 5th trade, it will no longer enter a 6th. So let's just hit apply and see how that would show up on the chart. Okay, so we'll hit enable. Here we have a couple orders. It's still early in the day. Let's go back to a previous day. So here it's not taking any trades until past 7:30, which is our start time. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 trades, and then it stops trading for the remainder of the day. And that's because we had a count limit set to 5. One thing to keep in mind, this is only tracking your P&L and your count while the strategy is enabled. If you're trading real time, not showing any historical trades, and you end up disabling and re-enabling, it's going to reset your P&L and your trade count as well. So in order to keep track of everything, try and keep this button enabled. Now the skip trade start and end time, these are options we can select if you do not want to trade within a certain period. And the reason I add this, especially with these Uni-Renko bars, it's because I've been finding right at 8:30, which I believe is when some news comes out. I still don't know exactly why it happens, but it always seems to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. And it's just the reality of trading price-based charts. When there's high volatility, you're going to get multiple prints all within a very short time period. So all of these are printed pretty much within seconds of each other. During that kind of volatility, I like to avoid trading. I don't want to get caught up in anything. And I've noticed, especially with these Uni-Renko bars, it's right at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. So that's why I added that. It's just a little bit extra protection. And as an added protection on top of that, you can also select how many candles need to pass before you re-enter into another trade. So for bar since entry, once you enter, there needs to be at least one more candle after your entry before you can enter again. So that way you're not getting chopped up and down constantly. Bar since exit, because I often play reversals where it exits right away and I want to enter immediately, I keep this a -1 to allow me to do that. If you don't want to enter right away after exiting, you can just change this to a positive number. So like 1, 2, 3, however many candles you want to pass after you exit. And the last thing here is if you want to change any of the buttons, the colors, the text, you can do that. So for example, we'll change on to my button. I don't know. And we can change this and we can change the color to, I don't know, magenta. Why not? And then when we come out here, it'll change the color, the text. You can do that to all the buttons and their options. So however you want to customize it, you're able to do that. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me through email on the website or tag me on the Discord and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But that's it for now. Take care, guys. Enjoy.